In 1938, a 17-year-old Polish Jew killed a German diplomat in Paris. As a response, ginned-up Nazis destroyed hundreds of synagogues and thousands of Jewish businesses throughout Germany and Bavaria. They imprisoned tens of thousands of Jewish men. Hundreds died by murder and by suicide. This explosion of hatred is seen to be the beginning of the final solution, what we now call the Holocaust, as the flashpoint of Nazi aggression that would claim 20 million lives. It's referred to as Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. On January 6th, 2021, the people that Democrats had been calling Nazis for 4 long years gathered in Washington, D.C. to protest the media coup that had ended the presidency of Donald J. Trump, the man who had been called Hitler for 4 long years. Everybody knew that Trump's people were highly emotional. Everybody knew that the horde heading for D.C. from all over the country contained a faction of extremists that had been whipped into a frenzy by a mysterious online entity called Q. There was every reason to be worried, every reason to expect that the pro-Trump crowd would push all the way up to the Capitol steps, that a strong military force was necessary to meet them. The FBI warned that an attack was likely. But did Congress invite the National Guard to reinforce the congressionally controlled Capitol Police? No. They gathered, as widely announced, to affirm the Electoral College and remove the supposed Hitler from office, even as his most ardent followers and the reality-challenged QAnon people were getting riled up out on the mall. The Capitol was policed very lightly as Congress performed the task that they knew was salt in the wounds of the protesters. No added security measures. It was as if the Girl Scouts of America were coming to visit. And after 4 years of doing everything humanly possible to get Trump to act like Hitler, they finally got something they could work with. They got the best approximation of Kristallnacht that they will ever get from Donald Trump and his legions of supporters. In the last week of Trump's presidency, Nancy Pelosi's House of Representatives has impeached the president for a second time. This is the culmination of a dark period, a time when hatred and scapegoating was used by progressives against conservatives in much the same way that Hitler used them against Jews. We've reached the conclusion of an astonishing campaign of propaganda that used some of the top talents in the culture to dehumanize a large segment of the citizenry, just as the Nazis once did. A whole summer was spent in riots that, much like Kristallnacht, destroyed businesses and burned buildings as punishment for a systemic racism that was nowhere to be found. After all, racist, to these modern-day political fascists, is the scapegoating term. That's what they call you to place you beneath contempt. The pumped-up victims of fictional racism and their left-wing white supporters trashed cities with the full support of Democrat leaders, all in a desperate attempt to prove that the American left and its victim groups were under siege by Donald Trump's stubbornly nonviolent movement, all in a desperate attempt to provoke Trump into a Nazi-like military crackdown. But it was all for nothing. Trump just would not take the bait. So at the very end, by practically putting a sign up on the Capitol reading, "Open for rioting," they managed to squeeze a single vaguely Hitlerian event out of a small and zealous segment of Trump supporters. And in the days that followed, the greatest attack on free speech in our history was carried out by the tech giants that underpinned the Democrats' assault on Americanism as understood by our parents. The events at the Capitol will now serve as proof that certain kinds of speech must never be allowed a platform. The history books that they write will show dramatic pictures like these, and an artistic shot of broken glass on the floor of the nation's Capitol. American Kristallnacht. See, we told you he was Hitler. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications.